I'm here with Shane Jackson of Spirits Works Limited discussing how the Vancouver Olympics has affected his business and how it challenges the definition of authenticity.
Well, I think it has, mostly to do with definition, I mean, what does the term authentic Aboriginal products mean to you? What does it mean to the layman at home? To us, Aboriginal people, it means, a product that is designed by us, produced by us, and distributed by us, with the benefits going back to where they're needed most, our communities. There's a lot of very unscrupulous business people that would like to mislead the public and the consumers into thinking that, we're behind their products, and their products are, those that are primarily produced overseas, supplied by non-Aboriginal companies, with Aboriginal graphics on them. We find this practice to be, quite salient, and what gets us even more right now is that the Olympics has jumped on board. And they've actually used the term authentic Aboriginal products to mean their products with Aboriginal graphics on them, produced by non-Aboriginal companies, supplied by those companies, and made overseas. As a Canadian, I'm quite dismayed by the fact that after investing billions of dollars in the Olympics, that we can't keep these jobs at home. As a Canadian of Aboriginal descent, I'm absolutely shocked that they'd use this disingenuous marketing practice to divert funds and resources away from the most marginalized and impoverished communities in the country.
Those are very strong words. Do you think that was somehow intentional?
Well, I think when you're dealing with the Olympics, you're dealing with a very sophisticated group of people, a very sophisticated marketing team. I think we'd be very naive to think that they wouldn't be aware of the effects of their wording of these products. The Olympics is almost fanatical about the protection of its own brand. For them to be unaware of, the implications of using a term like authentic Aboriginal products, I don't think it's possible. What makes this even worse is the fact that not only are they redirecting resources away from our needy communities, but on top of that, they have totally 100% excluded First Nations products from their licensing scheme. They've got all this stuff that they have made abroad, but they've really plugged nothing back into sort of the local First Nations economic development.
It seems puzzling that with the partnership with the 4 host nations that the Olympics wouldn't be selling First Nations products. Why do you think this is?
Well, I think there's a number of reasons why. I mean, firstly, there's the fact that very large corporate interests are involved, and they have something to protect. Secondly, there's certainly stereotypes about our capabilities, First Nations companies, and thirdly, it's just pure and simple profit margins.
Can you elaborate on these 3 things?
Well, the corporate interests, I suppose that's the easiest ones. When you invest, like Hudson's Bay Company or Berks or whoever, when you invest in the Olympics, you're doing it as a business decision. You're not doing it out of the goodness of your heart. So contractually, you bind yourself to the Olympics, and you bind them to diverting as much resources and revenue as you can into your pocket. In regards to stereotypes, you don't need to look any further than Dick Pound's comments about this being a land of savages to realize that these views have permeated into the VANOC board itself and the Olympic the committee's board here. You can also look at the Cowichan sweater fiasco. 2 years ago, the Hudson's Bay Company met with the Cowichan people about the introduction of their sweaters into the Olympic lineup. They said quite bluntly, we didn't think they could come up with the numbers, the quality, the consistency. Their answer to that was have them knocked off overseas and and supplied by a non-Aboriginal company. with the Cowichan's, you know, at least at the time, not getting anything. You know, I mean, that leads right into our third sort of aspect is profit margins. I mean, let's face it, you know, it's a lot easier to go overseas and have things knocked off, you know, in other countries than to pump the money back into here where it sort of belongs. You know, for us, it's a big issue, you know, in regards to, you know, making promises. You know, I mean, for us, it's about offering a choice, you know. When I go to Paris and I look at a figurine of an Eiffel Tower, you know, and, you know, there's one that's a bit more expensive than the other one, but it says made in France, you know, I'm going to buy that over the one that says made in China. You know, I think when people come to Vancouver, they want to buy an Aboriginal product made by an Aboriginal person. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, when you turn it over and it says made in China, you know, it's, I think it would be kind of deflating. But aside from that, I mean, there's a very large issue here with respect to taking that choice away. You know, if you look on Vanoc's website, selling authentic Aboriginal products, it doesn't say where they're made. It just says authentic Aboriginal products. It doesn't say who makes them. You know, you're left to assume that we are behind the production of those.
And so in this battle, what are the next steps?
Well, I mean, our campaign is focused on the Olympics right now as they're the largest offender, you know, but we're in discussions with lawmakers to try and make their actions, you know, and actions like theirs illegal. The U.S. has had the Indian Arts and Crafts Act for over 20 years. You know, which protects, you know, the markets down there from non-Aboriginal companies coming in and misleading the public into thinking that First Nations are behind their products. We need something here to sort of end this free-for-all. You know, we've gotten a lot of support by different organizations and you know, essentially every artist that I've come across is very supportive of something similar. You know, we'll be following that path, and we're discussing this with local lawmakers about coming up with a private members bill to push this through. You know, for the time being, you know, we'd like this campaign to bring exposure to the larger issues. You know, nationwide, there's no other source of earnings for Aboriginal communities than our handcrafts. I mean, if you think about it, you know, these are the most marginalized, impoverished communities in this country. You know, we've got something at stake here to protect. You know, even in this territory, in Vancouver, which is very well-to-do, relatively, you know, 60% of our Aboriginal youth are living in poverty right here. You know, in the area where these games are taking place. You know, we've got a lot to lose, and we have something to gain here as well. You know, we also have to look at our responsibility to other countries. You know, Russia, Brazil, both with indigenous populations. Both indigenous populations very marginalized, impoverished, very similar to the Canadian experience. We have a responsibility here in regards to these Olympics, for their Olympics, you know, to include those people. You know, you know, at the very least, if you're not going to include them, don't exploit them. We're going to be setting the bar as high as we can here so that they can at least have some influence on it.